Close your eyes and let the winds of old Ireland carry you to a time when magic still lingered in the grass and every hill held a secret. Tonight, I'll tell you a gentle legend of a lonely girl, a forgotten harp, and a song so powerful it could quiet storms and heal hearts. This is a story whispered through generations, a story of peace, sorrow, and the courage to let go. Come closer. The land remembers, and so will you. The Lost Harp of Tara. Long ago, when the hills of Ireland still whispered the secrets of old gods and the rivers carried songs of the side, there lay a forgotten village nestled beneath the green arms of the hill of Tara. It was a quiet place, brushed by the wind and warmed by stories passed from mouth to mouth, told by hearthlight and moonglow. In that village lived a girl named Ashling, no more than 16 winters old. Her hair was the colour of autumn hay, and her eyes held the hue of early morning mist. She was poor, as most were in that quiet valley, yet her heart was rich in wonder and dreams. She often wandered alone, barefooted, through the meadows, listening to the wind, hoping it would one day speak back. Legend spoke of a harp once held by the high kings of Tara, a harp carved from silver wood and strung with threads of moonlight, set to sing the soul of Ireland herself. When played, it could bring peace to any heart, silence to storms, and even lull the restless dead. But it had been lost for centuries, swallowed by time and sorrow, buried deep in the land's memory. One soft twilight, as the sky blushed with fading gold, Ashling followed a trail of glowing clover she had never seen before. The air around her shimmered gently, as though the evening itself had paused to breathe. Her feet led her beyond the field she knew, past crumbling stones and ivy-covered whispers of what once was. And there, where the earth sank into a hollow kissed by moonlight, she found something that did not belong to this world. A gleam of wood, pale and smooth as bone, half buried in moss. She knelt, heart fluttering like a court bird, and brushed away the earth. The harp had found her. It was not a grand thing, at least not at first glance. The harp lay in silence, its silver wood dulled by years of sleep, its strings humming ever so faintly, as if breathing in the twilight air. Ashling reached out, her fingers trembling, and the moment her skin touched the frame, a soft chord rang out, pure, gentle, and impossibly sad. The meadow fell silent. Even the wind seemed to bow its head. A warmth spread through her, curling up her spine like the first fire of winter. She pressed the harp to her chest, and in that instant, she knew it had chosen her. The path home was dreamlike. Stars blinked awake above her as she stepped lightly across the heather. No one in the village believed her when she whispered what she had found. Of course, stories were common, and dreams were cheaper than bread. But that night, as she sat alone in her cottage, she placed the harp in her lap and let her fingers find their place. She did not know how to play, yet the harp seemed to teach her, guiding her hands, coaxing melodies from within her that she had never known lived inside. The notes were soft as moth wings, sad as of a well, sweet as honeycomb. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't understand. Outside, the wind sighed and grew still. Inside, peace bloomed. And from the shadows, something listened. From that night on, Ashling played the harp each evening as the stars unfolded above the hills. And each night, a change crept through the village. Old feuds softened. Children stopped crying in the dark. The sick slept easier. Dreams became clearer. Though no one spoke of it openly, they began to gather near her home in the hush of dusk, lingering just close enough to hear. A farmer brought her eggs. An old woman left wool at her door. Even the priest, once wary of old magic, bowed his head when he passed. But deeper in the land, past the sight of men, older eyes had taken notice. In the forest beyond Tara, the sides stirred. Not the gentle folk of candlelit songs, but the true fae, timeless, powerful, woven from shadow and starlight. They had long watched the world of men with detachment, but the sound of the harp, their harp, awoke memories they thought forgotten. It had been forged for peace, long ago, in a pact between kings and fae. When war shattered trust, it was hidden away, meant never to play again. Now it sang, and the fae do not forget. Ashling did not know of the eyes upon her, nor of the winds that now carried her name across hills and hollows. She only knew that the harp healed something within her. Her mother had died when she was small. Her father, a stone cutter, had vanished into the mountains one winter and never returned. She had grown up alone, speaking to birds and streams. Now, for the first time, she felt whole. But peace is a fragile thing, and legends, once stirred, rarely settle quietly. One night, as she played beneath a full moon, a figure appeared at the edge of the trees, cloaked in green, tall and motionless. Her song faltered. "Do not stop," it came a voice, soft, unearthly, like water running over stones. "Your song has reached far." Ashling stood, harp clutched to her chest. "Who are you?" The figure stepped closer. His eyes were the color of old moss, and his smile held secrets. A guardian of the old accords. That harp is not meant for mortal hands. She held it tighter. Then why did it find me? The wind rose. The fae smiled. That is the question. The stranger did not try to take the harp. Instead, he sat beside her, listening. "Your heart plays truly," he said at last. "But the harp's song has power. It stirs things best left sleeping." Ashling lowered her gaze. "I didn't mean harm. I just wanted peace." The fae man tilted his head. Peace is a delicate gift. Too much, and people forget how to be strong. Too little, and they forget how to love. He stood, his cloak shimmering with dew. There is a place in the forest, an old ring of stones. Come there tomorrow at dusk. The harp remembers, and you must learn its history. With that, he vanished into the trees. The next evening, Ashling followed his path. The forest was alive with sound, rustling leaves, trickling streams, the distant cry of a night bird. She reached the circle just as the last light faded. There stood the fae, and beside him, a woman tall and radiant, her eyes silver as moonlight. The harp was born of sorrow and hope, the woman said, and it chooses only those who carry both in their soul. Ashling stepped forward. "Then teach me." Within the stone circle, under moon and star, Ashling listened. The fae told stories of the harp's creation, how it was shaped from the heartwood of a tree that had never known violence, and strung with hair from the goddess Bridget herself. It had once calmed kings, healed broken minds, even held back death for a time. But when the greed of men grew loud, and fae withdrew from the world, the harp was hidden to keep its peace from being turned into power. "You must understand," the silver-eyed woman warned, "every note you play changes the world. You must not play in anger, or pride, or fear." "I don't want power," Ashling whispered, "only to help." The fae nodded. "Then play. Here, where the earth remembers." And so she did. The harp's song rose like mist over water, soft, aching, full of old sadness and new hope. The forest breathed. The stones glowed faintly. Even the stars seemed to shimmer in time. And from the deep shadows beyond, something ancient stirred. In the days that followed, the village blossomed. Crops grew greener. The sick grew strong. Songs returned to lips long silent. But Ashling felt a weight within her. Each note she played brought calm, yet something whispered at the edges of the music. One evening, she dreamt of her father, standing on a cliff's edge, calling her name. Behind him, a shadow loomed, vast, cold, without form. She woke in tears, harp in her arms. She went to the stone circle again, seeking answers. The fae met her with grave faces. "The harp senses imbalance," the man said. "Its peace cannot exist without darkness pushing against it." "But I'm trying to help," as she cried. "You are," said the woman. "But peace cannot be forced. And not all are ready for it." Ashling realized then, some had grown dependent on the harp. Their dreams were no longer their own. They waited for her songs, not for their own strength. She had to decide what the harp truly meant to her, and to them. That night, Ashling climbed to the highest hill and played her most sorrowful melody. It carried through valleys and woods, over rivers and stone. It was not to soothe, but to remind of loss, of love, of effort, of memory. And then, she stopped. For a full week, the harp was silent. The village murmured. Some grew anxious, others angry. But slowly, things changed. Neighbors helped neighbors. A grieving mother began to sing lullabies again. The old priest started telling stories by firelight. And Ashling watched from afar, harp quiet beside her. One evening, as stars returned, she walked to the stone circle one last time. "I've made my choice," as she told the fae. "The harp is not mine to keep. It belongs to the land." The woman touched her cheek gently. "Then you have truly learned." They guided her to a sacred glade, deep where no roads reached, where time itself felt slower. There, Ashling placed the harp upon a stone of quartz, bathed in moonlight. She played once more, a single, pure note. And the harp faded. Not vanished, but returned to the land, like mist into morning. The wind picked up, swirling gently around her, as if saying full well. "You will still hear its echo," the fae woman said. "When the world needs peace, the harp will find another." Ashling nodded. Her heart ached, but not from sorrow. It was the ache of growth, of letting go, of knowing she had done right. She walked home beneath stars that now seemed brighter. The peace was not in the harp. It had been in her all along. Years passed. Ashling grew older, though the wonder never left her eyes. She married a quiet healer, raised 2 children who loved the woods and songs. She taught them to listen, truly listen, to wind, to silence, to the spaces between. The village remembered her not just as the girl with the harp, but as the one who reminded them of their own music, their own strength. And sometimes, late at night, when all was still, a single note would drift over the fields, faint and silver-sweet, like a memory. Some said it was the wind, but others believed it was the harp, waiting, dreaming, listening for the next heart brave enough to hear.